Welcome back to Total War Therapy. This is one of the videos I was talking about in the previous ones. I want to do a guide for the race roster of any race in the 2024, because no content creators are making them anymore, and I was a big fan, Great Book of Grudges, of Colonel Damders, and it's years I wanted to do my own version of it to explain what I like and dislike in a race roster. And this is not an ending video. I mean, this is not the complete product. It will be only about units, because I wanted to try slow and gather your feedback. So if you don't like the mic, if you don't like the composition of the video, or you want something different, so feel free to leave your feedback. And please consider to subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of big plans, and I really want to get better for the community and for making over time the best videos in this category. And yes, we can start. Let's start with Blue Warriors. This crazy unit is a very good one, actually. They have very wide formation, and this is the biggest factor of them, because they will be harder to take with artillery, with even with just infantry and melee combat, and magic too, for their magical resistance, and even for the barrier. So actually tough, but when they start to lack some discipline, they will die very fast, but still very cheap and easy to recruit. Yes, they are the perfect unit to fill your army where you don't actually know what to put. And yes, they've been here since release, and they are still one of the best units of this roster. They have a missile attack that actually can be very good in the early campaign, because it deals a lot of damage against a very light unit, maybe even missile unit of the enemy, and they can be a huge pain in the Marauders of Tzeentch. They've been added with Champions of Chaos DLC, and actually it was a unit that was missing in this roster, because Tzeentch at the release it didn't have any kind of frontline or defensive units, and they're very good, cheap, low armored, but still with a lot of resistance. And yes, they can hold the front line in the early campaign, of course, and don't expect too much in the later stages of the game, but yeah, they can do a pretty good job, and they are shielded. That was something that was missing too in the Tzeentch roster. And yes, Marauders of Tzeentch with the spears. This is another good unit added with Champions of Chaos DLC. Tzeentch at this point has a lot of anti-large infantry units, and it's okay. And they are good for flankers against cavalry that try to take you from the angles or from the sides, and you can use them to defend your vulnerable unit in the rear guard too. So, and you can recruit them with no buildings, so they are a very good unit, very good with Blue Warriors in synergy. And yes, the Forsaken have been the release of the game the only infantry of Tzeentch with an actually good melee stats. And yeah, actually it was quite weird now thinking at that point that you didn't have an actually good infantry. They're a little expensive for their role. They deal a lot of damage, but still they are more a flanker unit, not a defensive one. They have a little charge that can use against the enemy. So yeah, it doesn't fit very well the Tzeentch roster. That's why I don't use them very much. But they have their role in this game. Zangors, one of my favorite units at the release of Shadows of Change, but now they have been, we can say, through some changes. At the beginning they were a fast charging unit, but now they just be downgraded with a Bisman version of Marauders of Tzeentch. They are still good. They have an effect that they will increase their ability with spelling, cast spelling of your characters, so good. But still, you can use them in more aggressive strategy or aggressive army compositions, and they can do their job. They're actually very, very funny to use, and they have a wider formation compared to Marauders of Tzeentch. That's why sometimes in some armies I prefer. I'm very, very curious about what are the plans for the market Bismuth in the future of Total War Warhammer. So maybe they will have a better use in the future, and still a good unit at the end. Warriors of Chaos of Tzeentch. They're just an upgrade to Marauders of Tzeentch, so not that much to say. They can hold the front line very good, very, very tough, armored. Actually, I think they are at the end the hand front line of the Tzeentch roster. We talk later about the Chosen, but if we want to do a trade-off with the price and efficiency, they actually do a very, very good job. Shielded, so against missile units, and yes, this is actually the best front line of this roster. The same with Warriors of Chaos of Tzeentch with the Alberts. They have armor piercing damage compared to the Marauders of Tzeentch with the Spears. They're actually good as a flankers. You can use them against more heavy cavalry or monsters. Actually, even in the middle stage of the campaign, I still prefer to use the Marauders of Tzeentch with Spears, because, I mean, as a flankers, and with all the damage you can do with Tzeentch in other area, they are quite expensive for their role, and they are very, very slow. So yeah, in the late stages of the campaign you can start to use them. Otherwise, I mean, the Marauders they do a very good job. The Chosen of Tzeentch, as I said, a very tough unit, almost indestructible, but very, very expensive. I mean, they are expensive like a monster, and yeah, they can hold the front line. The point is that many times, you know, just your enemy, the big ones of your enemy will just go around them because they're very, very slow. So I mean, not my best suggestion, but if you have plenty of money in your campaign and you don't know how to use them, they will be a good way to upgrade it, and still very, very cool. They are very, very good model. I love it. And yes, same with the Alberts, another upgrade to the Marauders of the Warriors of Chaos with Alberts, and almost the same, just more armored, more damage, and almost indestructible. They can be very, very strong against any kind of monster, single entity, and like that. So I suggest to use them, but in a very when you have a lot of money. Otherwise, they're just too expensive for the role, and even as a flankers, yeah, you know that they will probably never go down, but still the Warriors of Chaos are so quite unnecessary, and but still, I mean, units with their role. Let's start with the actually missile units. The Pink Horrors are an incredible unit. They are probably the best unit of the Tzeentch roster. They are fast. They have an incredible missile damage. They can really tear apart infantry, missile units, artillery. They are very, very dangerous. And when they start to hit your vulnerable units, they are just done. And they have quite some melee stats that can be useful in some situations, so you can use them very, very well. I mean, you can just fill your roster of them because they are amazing, not that expensive, lot of damage, resisting in melee, and yes. Exalted Pink Horror, quite the same actually, not such a big difference. They have the same missile damage, but more melee stats. So it depends on you if you want to use them as a front line, and because they will hold the line better, but still, I think the Pink Horrors, not Exalted, are the best choice, because you can just put them in the, behind your front line and throw all the magic missile they have. These one are more expensive, they require a turn more to be recruited, so I'm not suggest them. Otherwise, as I said, if you have plenty of money and you're in the late stages of the campaign, in that case, they can do a very good job. But yes, still better just the Pink Horrors. Okay, let's start with the Cavalry. The Chaos Chariots of Tzeentch are very good units too. Quite boring, because at the end they just chaos chariot, and yes, nothing that different. You use it as a normal chariot. If you want to do a more Warriors of Chaos composition, they can be good. I mean, they do their damage, but I don't have much to say about them because I mean they're just a generic chariot with the Tzeentch mark, so not very much to say. But yeah, big charge. You can charge around the enemy and destroy the front line, and use them as a flankers. You know, same old things you do with all the chariots. Okay, when Centaurs of Tzeentch have been adding to the game with you know, the new patch of Shadows of Change, it was a little why Centaurs of Tzeentch? What was the reason of their existence? Anyway, actually they are good. They are very good. They are fast. They have a big charge, and they have armor piercing damage that I mean there is not in the other cavalry of Tzeentch. They have low armor, so to be very careful with the biggest unit in the enemy, and with missile. But yeah, they do a quite good job. They are not that expensive, and I use them a lot actually, so I suggest them. Okay, this is another unit that at the release of the game they were doing a actually good job because they were probably the best front line in the Tzeentch roster, but now with all the other options they are just yeah, I mean cavalry for Tzeentch, and they're good, but yes, depend in which kind of situation you want to use them. They're good as a flankers, or you know, to defend the sides of your army, your vulnerable units. They are fast, they are tough, and very hard to take down, so they do a very good job. They're expensive, but they are worth their expense. The same with the version for charging, you know, the shock cavalry, you know, same as the other, just with more focus on charging and not on melee stats. They are good, they do a good job, but maybe I prefer the other version because yeah, with the kind of Tzeentch army I prefer to have a tough cavalry that can stand in counter, and not that they have just to psycho charge around. The Doom Knights, honestly, I still don't get in years of playing, and I don't want to say how many thousands of hours in this game, but yes, I'm not a fan of flying cavalry because I think maybe even the devs didn't get their role. This one in particular, they can be very good with sieging at sieges because they are shielded, so they are protected from missile when they want to attack like a wall, missile units on a wall. And they are good against cavalry because they don't have that big melee stats, but at the same time they can be good against cavalry that they don't have either. Yes, I still don't get how the best way to use them because yeah, at the end they are quite, for their price, they are not that great, but still, I mean, in late stage of your campaign they can be useful for defending your vulnerable units from above, or even, you know, the characters, or I mean, some units we will talk later about that are vulnerable and missile and flying, so they can be a good protection. But yeah, taking, you know, the best value from them, it's quite hard. I still don't get how to do it in the proper way, but yeah, very funny to use and very fast. I mean, if this something you're actually paying about them, is they being so damn fast. Okay, the only unit of missile cavalry of Tzeentch are the marauders on horsemen, and I mean, yeah, they're actually good. If you like this kind of skirmish battle, they can be good. I mean, depends of course on the army composition of your enemy. They are good for very early stages of the campaign where it's hard to find a fast cavalry or a missile units that can fight them. Of course, if you're playing against another chaos faction, or I mean, not that missile one, otherwise I think any kind of skirmish cavalry it's useless. with, I mean, an army with a range superiority. They are good. They do their job better than I mean, more of the better of many of other units in this roster, even if they don't look like. And yeah, I don't use them that much for my kind of army composition with Tzeentch, but I can guarantee that they do a very good job. Okay, same as Santigors. When I heard about this change bringers, so basically flamers on disc, I was very I mean, it looked like a trash. I mean, you're just taking a unit, taking another unit, and doing a, you know, a lasagna, and I didn't like it. But when I started to use them, they were so good. They were very good. They have an incredible missile damage. I made a video about it and probably have to do another one, but better. I mean, a better quality video. But yeah, they are a very close strategy to use them. I mean, you cannot just throw them around and start to fire missile, because they are very low ammunition, so you don't have to waste neither one. Every ammunition has to be used in the proper way, in the proper position, in the proper angulation, and yes, in this case they can do so much damage that it's ununderstandable. Their weakness is that they're actually very vulnerable. They're very weak. Any kind of missile units or melee units, they can just tear them apart in nothing, in literally nothing. Probably 3 ammunition from an archer of the elves and they are just down. So you have to be very careful. But with armies with no range in your enemy, they are damn good. You can just take all your time and fire, as I say, in the right, with the right angulation and everything, every unit, and they will destroy them. The same with the flaming chariots. This is actually the same, but more focused on single entity or characters and so on. It can do quite a good job even with just infantry. So I've suggested, but as this is basically a last tier unit and it's very hard to recruit in the campaign, and at that point is more about defending it than actually use it. So it's yeah, it's better in the, I don't remember which campaign, if Kairos or yeah, probably Kairos, that I won in the beginning army. In that case it's very useful, but yeah, over time it's more, it requires a lot of micromanagement, and even if it deals a lot of damage, at the end it's very tricky. So I would not suggest it, but I can assure it's a very good unit. Let's start with the best part of the army. First of all, we have the Furies of Tzeentch. They're actually a good unit for, I mean, Tzeentch already has this flying monsters, but still they do a very good job against, they're an expendable units, just a disposable one that you use it and they probably will die in a good battle. But yeah, they can do a lot of damage to missile units, to artillery, and yes, even in the late stage of the campaign it can be very useful to have a couple of them. They're very cheap, very annoying, and yeah, very weak, and they are fast to die when they start to miss some discipline. But yeah, I can very suggest them. They are boring, of course, because any Chaos Lord have one, but they do a very good job, I have to admit it. Screamers of Tzeentch, they are probably the unit that I am actually quite disappointed, because they are very I mean, they're very good looking. I love them, and in their kind of role they should do more than that. They should be good against character heavy cavalry, because they have armor piercing, anti-large damage, but they actually don't. They just don't. They are a very low number. They're very weak, and they're good only against actually light cavalry, missile cavalry, and even with missile infantry. It's probably better to have a Chaos Fury than that. Just against cavalry. Okay, one or a couple of them in your army, they can be good, but I'm always very disappointed with the work they do. At some point you always have to save them, or because they're about to you know, to die, and no. I cannot suggest them, but I really would like them to receive a kind of buff, because I think they're very, very cool and they can be pretty dangerous. But at this at this moment in the game, they are definitely not. One of the most boring units in the game, not because they are actually bad, because I mean they are cool, but because you can see them in probably 1/3 of the races, and they do always the same. They are good, I have to admit it. At the end, as a monster infantry, they hold the front line very well. They are unbreakable. They are very, very good. They are tough. They do a lot of damage. They are very hard to beat down. So I mean, I would use them if they were more unique than just cow spawn for any lord. But yes, if you want a boring but efficient army, they are a very good choice. The cockatrice. I'm so in love with this unit. Since the release, I wanted the kind of big bird. I hope to have one for Kislev at the release of Shadows of Change. I wanted the... I don't remember how to call them. You know, the kind of bat, frost bat, yes. And yes, it's very, very good. It's very, very tough. And actually it's what you would want in a Lord of Change. And yes, they're very, very good animation, a lot of effects, and yeah, you can use it to take more to take characters, to take cavalry, to take infantry. They are good with everything. They have a good discipline. They are tough, and they are hard to take down with the missile, because they have some animation that are very, very fast. It's fast. I mean, there are so many good things about this unit, and I love them. I mean, a couple of them in your army are a must, and they can defend your flying units more than everything probably. And yeah, I'm just so in love. This is probably my less favorite unit in the roster, in the game probably. I never use them except as you know, mount for cultists. They actually have even a good model, but yeah, they don't have such a great effect. They are vulnerable for missile. They are prioritized by enemy, and still they have an effect for magic to increase the spelling, but your character has to be close to it. So no, I mean, completely no. And it's so expensive. I mean, even if you can do a lot of damage to the infantry enemy and so on, but yeah, just not worthy, no worthy at all. It can be funny to have one in your you know, Warriors of Chaos army composition, but yeah, if you have a cultist, it's so better to have a cultist, and even you know, a sorcerer character. Just I mean, just leave it. It's not a unit. They're just to add it for some reason, but it's a mount. It's a mount. Lord of Change. This is another unit that honestly I don't get why it's a unit. I mean, it's not a unit. It's a character, because the big point, the big power of this unit is actually the magic, the spells that you can get through technology, and without that, it's just a bad cockatrice, because it will be prioritized more by missile, is more weak from missile, and his stats are not that good. I mean, they're just awful for a last, you know, for a 5-tier unit. For a single entity of this cost, he requires 6 turns to be recruited, and no, everything is wrong about this unit. If you want to use them in the late stage and use all the powers that you took with technology to have all the spells, in that case it can be a very, very dangerous unit. But before that, it's so useless, so useless. And now we're finally the big boys, so Shadows of Change. This is probably the most expensive unit in the Tzeentch roster. I mean, it is, and it's amazing. Tzeentch, you don't expect it to have a big entity, strong and tough like that. He's armored, he has missile resistance, and he has resistance overall, and yeah, magic aura. he has, I mean, it's amazing. It's just amazing. Very very cool animation models. See the tentacles going from downside. It's amazing. You can just throw it in the enemy army and do a lot of damage. I mean, you don't have to worry about, and you know, with Tzeentch you always have to worry about your units because everyone is vulnerable and weak in some way, but no, not the Vortex, Mutalith Vortex base. This is amazing. He has a very cool animation with the ray going from the disc on its back, and yeah, everything about this unit is perfect. It's very expensive, but I can tell you that it's worthy. Even for his big price, having one in your army is just a savior. He's just a homelander going around and rescue any units that will need it. Flamers of Tzeentch, we already talked about the Changebringers, so not that different. The only difference is that they cannot fly, and yes, they are quite good, but honestly only against not missile army of the enemy. Because if your enemy has a missile focus or with a lot of range superiority army, they are not good. Honestly, they are not good because they will be very. I mean, even if instead of the Changebringers that can just fly away, they cannot. They are slow. They will be on the ground. They can be easily taken down from cavalry and everything. So no, if you can protect them very well against a melee focus enemy army, they can do a lot of good job. But you have to defend them. That's why I cannot suggest more than one or two, two at most. But more is just useless, because even if they do an impressive damage, is not that good compared to how weak they are, how vulnerable they are, and how fast your enemy will tear them apart. The same for the Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch, very good against single entity characters. So if you use it on a flank, even against a big group of infantry, but still very low ammunition, even for flamers. So you have to be very careful about how to use them. And at the end, I mean, if it's not a very hard battle, and yeah, they can do a very big damage and they can be worthy, but as I say, they requires too much protection, and we're still talking about a 4th tier units in this case. So yeah, not the most not my favorite unit, but it can do a good job if you want just to be annoyed all the time. Oh wow. And welcome with the last unit, the Soul Grinder of Tzeentch. Actually, at the beginning it was my less favorite Soul Grinder, because it was, I didn't get how to use them properly. It's true that we didn't have, at the beginning of Tzeentch, a tough single entity monster like the Mutalith Vortex base, and it's still less expensive, and you can take it with the 4th tier building, so very good. It's tough. You can send it against cavalry, against infantry. You have to be a little careful, but it will be highly prioritized by enemy. But still, can do a very good job as a single entity, as to hold the front line or to help overall your army, because it's very fast. But what it's really great about it, and you will not believe it, is the range attack. I use his range attack for years, probably at least 1 year, in the from the front. So just putting it in the front and throwing against cavalry, no, it's not the best way to use it. Even with the cavalry, a single entity is not the best way to use it. The best way to use his attack, intended or not by Creative Assembly, is to use it as a flanker. If you throw these incredible magical spears against an infantry, but from the side, so as a flanker, it can destroy even the most armored units in your enemy roster. So it's very good, and using it in this way, it will do a lot of damage, and it will be more than worthy your expense. So now, even if many people will not believe it, this is probably one of the greatest units of this roster. It's finished, it's over. I hope you like this video. Tell me what I can do better. I know I have a lot of work still to do, But yeah, I'm very happy to have done this because it's years I wanted to do it, and nothing. I hope you the best, and see you soon.